Hi, Judy from Witchpeace Craft. Welcome to today's video. Today is Monday the 25th of April, which happens to be Anzac Day here in Australia. Anzac Day is a national day of remembrance to remember all our veterans and service people who have served during war, conflicts, peacekeeping operations. It's Australian and New Zealand. That's why it's called Anzac Day, and we remember them with a National Day of Remembrance and a dawn service. So yes, I've been up early and I am a little tired. So today's video, I have learned and made 3 new things I have never made before. I've either balked at the thought of them because they're too hard, or they haven't inspired me, and yes, I actually enjoyed trying something new. So first thing you notice is Ethel has a bikini on. Yes, I made a bikini. That is my first project that I have never made before. I've made like halter midriff tops, but never a full-on bikini. This is made in a 8-ply cotton, an Italian cotton by Mondial. I've left the labels elsewhere. That was silly of me. Anyway, the pattern itself is a combination of different patterns, but I do have a pattern on my Ravelry page. I've got some much finer cotton coming from Denmark, from Hobie, that I will probably make another one. The pattern on my Ravelry page is a micro bikini. And I want to try that, mainly because Reeves, being a 30-something male, commented that it's a great bikini, except this bit, which I agree, comes up too high. He said it should be more like down here. The younger ones like it down here. However, the bottom is on a drawstring, so you can slide the cups, and so is the bottom. Like, you can close this up for sunbaking if you're that way inclined, and same at the back. So it's all ties, and yes, it was relatively easy to make, and I did enjoy it, and I may make another one because I do get asked about them on my charity market stall, Living in the Tropics, and they are becoming very popular. So that was my first object that I finished that I have never made before. Anything else I can tell you about it? Not really. Or for those new to the channel and those subscribers who probably know, any patterns or links to patterns that will help you make something similar, if you're interested, will be listed in the description below. So item number 2. Now, I've been asked about this on my charity store, but most of you will know I haven't done any sewing since the boys were teenagers. I used to make them tracksuits because we lived in a much colder climate, and that's about the only sewing I really did. When I was about 15, I used to sew and make different things for myself, but yes, no, I haven't done much sewing, but I get asked about a material sewn tea cozy, and I was watching Alex from my Yarny Corner. Make sure you check out her channel. She does knitting and crocheting, but she's teaching herself to sew, and she's made a few things. She makes some really nice project bags, but she just made herself a pair of dungarees. And yes, I had to break out the sewing machine for another small job, and I came across remnant fabric that I had, and I thought, why not give it a go? So this is a traditional cloth tea cozy. Now, I drafted the pattern myself because it's fairly easy. This is remnant fabric that I've picked up somewhere. So it's lined, that's remnant fabric, just a bit of fabric, and it's got wadding inside. So the idea is, and I don't know if I can show you, it just fits over a teapot. And I've been asked, because a lot of people, and it sits like that, a lot of people like them to match their kitchen decor and prefer the fabric. You can also do toaster covers, your toaster to match. But yeah, I did enjoy making it. As for a pattern, well, like I said, I drafted it myself. There are lots of tutorials on how to make a tea cozy like this and other cloth tea cozies you can sew up on YouTube. I'll see if I can find a link to one that I think is pretty good. But yeah, it turned out really well considering I have not sewn for so many years. Like, you can make them quilted, you can put a little tag on them. There are fabric ones that actually draw up and gather up with a ribbon. But I do have some more remnant fabric, different ones. I may make some more. Or I may make some bowl cozies. Now there's an idea. I have never made one of those. So there you go. Item number 2, finished object I've never made before. My sewn tea cozy. So far I've crocheted a bikini. I've sewn a tea cozy. And at the beginning of 2022, I set up a bucket list of things I would like to learn or make that I have never made before. And there are 10 on that list. And that's 2 of them ticked off. Plus I've ticked some others off that I have put down that I knew I wanted to do. But one of the things I have always balked at, honestly, I get this fear. Ages ago, I bought sock yarn. I was just going to knit up Emma some socks. And then I realized how difficult it was and how confusing it was for my brain. Now, my friend Colleen in South Australia, hi Colleen, she sent me a book on how to knit socks that fit with some yarn. And even this didn't help me. I still was too scared to do it. However, I came across a tutorial class lesson on how to knit socks called No Fear Sock Knitting. Now, I have a playlist of these socks I have made, and I'll put a link to that playlist. This was really great. Do you want to see my socks? I've even had sock blockers for about 2 years. There you go. Ta-da! My socks. I really took my time. I can't say I made them in a week. I think it took me about a month. I kept going back to the classes. And yes, I just made a shorty sock. I made them medium size. They're a little big for me. If I was to make them again, I'd go small. But the idea was I would make them for me. And I had bought this Premier yarn to make Emma's socks, and yes, they look a little different. I didn't color control, they just came off the ball. They're 2 separate balls the way they were. But the No Fear sock knitting class, wow, 5 stars. It was brilliant. Look, she gives you a lot of information, and if you're not an absolute beginner, don't forget you can skip to the next section you want to learn. So we did a slip stitch heel. And for these, I used 2 needles. I did the 2 needle sock knitting class, and it is free. This is the yarn, Serenity Socks. I think it was discontinued. There's the leftovers from 2 balls. And I used this is my sock knitting project bag that was sent to me by my Secret Santa. It's made by Vintage Mildred in WA. She has an Etsy shop, and I'll even put a link to that because I love it, and it was perfect for sock knitting. I have all my counters, so that's why I bought the higher sharps, because part of the Fear sock knitting class is she recommends a couple of different brands of needles she uses, not necessarily affiliated with her channel. I bought them in Australia from different places, but yes, I did the 2 needle sock knitting class mainly because I wanted to learn the 2 needle skill for another project, but also to make my first ever socks. I am astounded. I loved it, and I did take a long time. I was so nervous. I have never been more nervous about knitting something than a pair of socks. What else can I say? Yeah, it's just, look, I don't think the sock yarn was very expensive, but it was a good way to start with these, and they're just for me to kick around in when it's a bit cooler here. I would like to make another pair of socks using the magic circle on one needle and see how I go. But time will tell. That was number one on my bucket list for 2022. And I thought, I bet you I don't do it, because it's been on my bucket list for about 3 years at number one. And each year I don't do it. I back out of it. Look, the book was really helpful, but I'm a visual learner. I think if someone is actually showing me what they mean, it's really easier for me, and I can freeze frame it on YouTube and I can go back and look at it. Because I do so much reading at work, I tend to not absorb as much from the written page. But yes, the plan now is to make another pair of socks using the magic circle thing on one needle and trying, I think it's called the shadow wrap heel, which Alex at my Yarny Corner makes lots of socks, and she votes that as her favorite heel. And there is, I think, a tutorial or a pattern from No Fear Sock Making that I can do the shadow wrap heel on. But guys, I loved it. I loved the challenge of trying something I have never done before, and I really, you know, hesitate to do. I'm a bit of a stick with what I know, but yeah, I don't think I did too bad a job. There are a couple of little mistakes, probably in the second one, because I was getting a little overconfident, but hey, they still hold together and they're mine. So they were my 3 objects I made that I've never made before. And the reason I saved socks to last is I was watching a new YouTube channel that I caught up with this week, and Anthony on the channel said he saves the best to last. They were talking about food, and Reeves does that. Often when I serve him dinner, he'll eat everything, but he'll save the very best thing he likes to last, then he eats it. And I thought it was ironic, because I think these guys are a similar age. And yes, the channel is, and it's a shout out. They're trying to grow the channel. I think this morning when I looked, they had 180 subscribers. You will really enjoy the channel. It's mum and son. It's Tonya and Anthony, and they knit, crochet. And the thing that I was like, oh, I wish I'd done that, is she had a cast on party where you're invited to a Zoom group, and like, I know you bring along the projects you're going to be making, and you cast on if you're knitting. I think if you chain if you're crochet, and you might bring more than one, and depending how long you want to stay in the Zoom group and how long it goes, you might set out a plan that you're going to cast on 3 projects, and you're going to do an hour of knitting for each one. I'd love to join a cast on party at some stage in the future with their channel. Now, let's get their channel name right, because I keep thinking of them as Tonya and Anthony, but their channel is actually Karma's a Stitch. Karma's a Stitch. Make sure you check them out. Give them a thumbs up and subscribe if you think you like their content, because I think you will. They're great. And yeah, Anthony's knitting a great blanket in a lovely colour. I like the colour of his blanket. And Tonya's just, I don't know, full of information. She made a top, the ivy top, that just blew me away. And I looked at the pattern yesterday and thought, maybe in the future. Anyway, guys, make sure you check out Karma's a Stitch. They're great. And let's grow their channel. What else is there? Well, her cast on party got me thinking. I have a Zoom group all set up, but I rarely use. And I was wondering, would any of the people in the Southern Hemisphere, podcasters, subscribers, like to join a Zoom where we have a cast on chain it up party? And basically you just bring along you join the Zoom group, you bring along what you're going to be making, and you start it. You might have a few snacks with you. I know some people in Tonya's party stayed for hours and hours. I don't know if I could last that long, because I tend to, believe it or not, run out of things to say. Although Thing would say I talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles. But I thought maybe there was something else I could show you, but there's not. Guys, even though it's Anzac Day, no, I didn't make any poppies this year. I generally save those for Remembrance Day in November. We've had lots. It's a long weekend. It's a public holiday. We have had 3 days of rain, rain, rain. So Reeves decided we'd do the best and worst again, pick 3 movies. But this time I used the random name picking wheel. He typed in, I think, 9 or 12 movies, and we spun it. And we watched the first one yesterday because it was very long. It was Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. It was enjoyable. It is long. And I did manage to finish my socks watching it. But yeah, it is fun to do this because you sort of, he picks these random videos from his Blu-ray collection and puts them up there. And yeah, I've seen half of North by Northwest before. I've never seen it right through, but we did yesterday. Poor Saxon, our dog, is going stir crazy. He does run around in the rain, but he gets really muddy and it means cleaning him up. But anyway, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The rain will ease tomorrow when I have to go back to work. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my objects that I've made that I've never made before. Let me know if you're going to try something new this year. I have another thing I looked at this morning. I thought, well, I've put that off for 2 years. Maybe I'll give that a go. And yes, if you're interested in a Zoom party where we have a cast on or chain it up party and you live in the Southern Hemisphere, because it's always the time difference that's the problem. You're welcome from the Northern Hemisphere, but don't forget, like, some things are at 3 a.m. in the morning. I know today I missed the Hobie Bingo day because it was at 4 a.m. this morning and we were off to the dawn service for the Anzac Day. Some things have to take precedence. Anyway, guys, until next time, stay safe, take care, and remember, you could have one crafty day with me making a pair of socks. Check out Calm as a Stitch. You'll love their channel. Bye for now.